Jonas Vingegaard is training better than ever, surrounded by his beloved Danes, always Danes. And he's doing so in a bid to arrive in top form for the Tour de France. The CEO of the Rabobank team has been clear and concise. If our beloved anchovy appears in Firenze at the Grand Départ on June the 29th, it will be because he is ready to fight for the yellow jersey. Good news, great news that makes all of us cycling lovers ever so happy. But while the former fish cleaner is recovering, strange situations are occurring within the Yellow Bees. Since that fateful day when Wout van Aert broke his collarbone before the Tour of Flanders, the team that was sweeping aside all others with 18 victories in the first 3 months of the season has suddenly found itself frozen, with just a single stage win by Olav Kooij in a sprint finish at the Giro d'Italia to show for it. And that was arguably caused by Poggy's Armstrong-style revenge on the Ecuadorian Narvaez in the final metres of the finish. And then the next day, the versatile Dutch sprinter abandoned the race with an illness in this Giro d'Italia of illnesses. Illnesses which are taking their toll on Richard Plurger's team. Just what is happening with the Yellow Bees? Why have they stopped stinging? And what's happened to those gregarios who were crushing rivals with absolute ease, but now they're unable to follow the peloton 50 kilometres from the finish line? The situation of the one-time Rabobank team's withdrawals since the Belgian bot's crash is, to say the least, disturbing. We're not only talking about crashes like the one involving the anchovy in the Basque country, or even that of the veteran Robert Hessink in the Giro d'Italia. We're talking about situations that are beyond the control of the team managers and even the cyclists themselves. We're talking about very strange withdrawals, like that involving the European champion Christophe Laporte, the man who was flying for the last 2 seasons after having simply been a good rider went outside the Dutch team, and yet suddenly, starting in March, he began to suffer from stomach flu and saddle sores and strange collapses in morale that have prevented him from participating in the most important spring classics. Or then there's a podcaster who laughs at Tramadolita Quintana being insulted in the middle of a race, Dylan van Baarle. He not only couldn't recover from a freak crash, but he also fell sick. Of course, Rabobank's obscurantism prevented us from knowing more details about the sudden strange illnesses that have prevented 2 of the best classics riders from participating in their favourite competitions and races. But we didn't get to make a drama out of the situation either. Perhaps it's just a coincidence or a bad month for the team. That wasn't until the Giro d'Italia arrived. Now the situation has gone haywire. The Dutch bike rental sponsors did not bring a team of stars to the Corsa Rosa after Van Aert's injury. Nobody expected them to be fighting for the victory against Poggy. But of course, half of the team's riders have now abandoned at halfway point in the competition. This is surreal. Typical of mediocre teams, perhaps, like that of the White Kenyan. The same thing has happened there, but nobody misses the lack of monsters like Froome himself or the fondly remembered Duracell bunny of 2023, Derek G. No, with Visma, it all started in the first stage with Robert Hessink's already mentioned abandonment due to a crash. Nothing strange there, perhaps. Nobody really objected as he left Italy because this man, who was already in Rabobank when the team was actually called Rabobank, evidently is thinking more about a pension plan than helping his teammates. However, just days later, something strange happened again to Christophe Laporte. Maybe the curse of the rainbow jersey, now that it is worn by monsters treated with TUEs or friends of Dr. Luigi Cecchini, has been transferred to the jersey of the European champion. What with the disappearance of the sponsorship of friend of the channel Bianca Rees in the case of Giacomo Nizzolo, the near death of Sonny Colbrelli while wearing the garment that led him to win a Paris-Roubaix, or the total collapse of Laporte, or at least since he's put the flag of the European Union on his jersey. Now, be that as it may, the Frenchman was the focus of ever so many cameras after dropping at a very early stage from the bunch in the very early stages of the Giro. And then he suffered a high-speed crash while launching an intermediate sprint for Kooij. And that was because of a culvert. Bad luck! Yes, bad luck. But the Frenchman stayed in the race, despite the scrapes and rashes on his skin. He competed in the Starato stage, and also in Taddei's Miracle Bra time trial stage. But then, coincidentally before the 9th stage, he dropped out. The European curse has claimed a new victim. That same day was the day of the aforementioned victory of Olav Kooij. The first victory in 6 weeks for the team that had swept the first 3 months of the year. At last, all was jubilation and celebration within the Yellow Bees. Not only had they won their long-awaited stage, but they also placed the Dutchman in the fight for the Maglia Ciclamino, and with a bit of luck, he could achieve more stage victories and even get on the final podium in Rome. But it was not to be. While the riders were enjoying a sightseeing tour of Pompeii, Kooij dropped out after the popular rest day, the one where historically Dr. Leinders had doped freaks like the Danish Chicken or the Russian tax fraudster in the ranks of the Visma Lisa bike team of the future. Immediately after winning, he suffered a fever and had to abandon. And he was not the only sprinter to suffer from it. The same fever also gripped Max Canter and Ethan Vernon. These damned viruses causing these damned diseases. Now we understand why Poggy is complaining that he has a stuffy nose. And then all this just after passing the anti-doping control after winning the stage. If you can't have worse luck than that. First it was the anti-Pogacar Lipovitz, and then the record man of Pratiditivo Lutsenko, and now Olav Kooij. This is an epidemic worse than COVID. And yes, it's claimed another victim in the Rabobank team. Cian Uijtdebroeks was possibly the most controversial signing of this season, but he had quickly integrated himself into the hardcore heart of the team, being part of the squad that trained on Taddei and participated in the first competitions of the year alongside the Danish anchovy. He was the team leader for this Giro after Van Aert's withdrawal, and he was not doing too badly. Beyond his ineptitude against the clock, the Belgian was shining in the mountain stages, arriving with the group of favourites in both Europa and Pratiditivo, and he also carried the Maglia Bianca as the best young rider of the race, finishing 5th overall, and that at only 21 years of age. However, on the same day that Kooij dropped out, Cian began to feel ill, with a cough and discomfort on the bike, losing a few metres of advantage in the final kilometre of the ascent to Boca della Selva, with respect to a group in which Tramadol Baudin was pulling in the umpteenth exhibition by the Van Rijssel-touting casino team this season. Some flew, and others, like the Rabobankers, cried, and Cian had to drop out. The cough had turned into yet another flu. The 3rd or 4th of the season for the Dutch. One more mountain pass or a harder stage and the Blanquette would have been historic. But we know what rest days are like, don't we? So far, the test for Vingegaard's friends, after passing the anti-doping controls, has not gone very well at all.